I've known Bob for, he said more than 60 years, but I remember meeting him early on. Went out to his shop in Palatine, did a photo of him sitting around with Dick Williford, I believe was with Champion Spark Plugs at the time.
Right, yeah.
Right, but Bob started in '58 when he was in the Army. He loved racing, and tell him how you happened to go down to Monza to the, what was it, Challenge of the World or something?
Yeah, it was a race of two worlds, and there were Formula One cars, Indy cars, and they sent, I think, a dozen Indy cars over there. And I had worked for A.J. Watson before, and Jim Rathman was driving the car. And so anyway, Jim Rathman ended up winning the race. It was done in 3 heats.
Yeah. But the amazing thing is you went down there while you were in the Army on leave on your own time and
Right.
spent your weekend.
But I'd worked for Watson before in Indianapolis before I got drafted.
So after the Army, I think you told me you tried a little bit of college, but it didn't make sense.
I wasn't very good at it, and I was more interested in hanging around race cars and working on them. So I always seemed to find a job that was interesting and fun to do, and one thing led to another, from stock cars to Indy cars to Can-Am cars to things like this.
You built a car for Tiny Lund, I understand, early on.
Well, actually, he raced a 55 Chevy that I was working on, and he bought the car, and he said, "Do you want to come with me? I'm going down and run NASCAR." So I said, "Sure, I'll come with you." So I did that for summer.
That's great.
And he wadded it up. When he got through, it was about this high, and it fit under a table. Then when that was destroyed, he said, "What car do you want to run next year?" And I said, "Well, a Pontiac looks like it'd be a good one." So we built a Pontiac and went down and ran in NASCAR.
Wow. Well, then you actually wrenched for Jim Rathman, got very heavily involved in the 500 for a few years.
Right.
Built the car that Paul Newman drove in the movie Winning, I believe.
That's correct.
And that was filmed up here at Road America.
Right.
But how did you get contacted to build a turbine?
Well, I got a phone call from Ray Heppenstall, and he said, "I've got some sponsorship money from Howmet. Let's build a turbine-powered car." And my Can-Am car was a tube frame car, and this is the result of it. This is the third one we built out of 4. And it's our Can-Am car. The fenders are fiberglass that we had on a regular Can-Am car, and we put a top on it and put the turbine engine in there with a Porsche windshield on it that was the smallest one that was legal to run at Le Mans.
Oh, gee.
And so we just connected the fenders together and put gull wing doors on it. There you have it.
It sounds like something I could throw together in my garage.
Well, it was a little shop, 1,500 square feet, so we had everything on wheels. We could move it around, and we were building a lot of things. We were building 2 of these cars. We were doing a Formula 5000 car, which is next door here. We were doing some electric cars. That was some of our first electric cars at the same time. So we were a busy little shop.
Oh, I guess. Tell us a little about its record. I think it ran at Le Mans two times.
Oh yeah, it ran at Le Mans in the 24-hour race. Sebring, Daytona. Watkins Glen had finished third in a 6-hour race. It holds 6 international speed records for turbine cars.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment. You should have maybe made one for Indy, but I guess that was tried, and they
Well,
were.
actually, we did do one. We built the suspension on one for a guy that used the same engine as this one has in it now.
Did Indy officially kind of ban them, or did they just put restrictions that were?
They put restrictions on it enough at 13 square inches of annulus area, and it isn't enough to get enough horsepower. with that small an intake.
Well, I guess there's a story about Carroll Shelby bringing 3 down with Samsonite, or I'm trying to think of the sponsor, but they withdrew at the last minute because of a little bit of trying to increase that intake.
They withdrew the cars, and it's too bad. Friend of mine and friend of ours, had it, and they were neat cars, more complicated. This running road races has to have headlights, taillights, and more body on it.
Well, I don't want to keep you here all morning. You got other friends to meet with and talk to. Appreciate your time. You've got an amazing record in motorsports. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome, Ron. Thank you.